In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your CV axle on your Mini Cooper. It's located behind your front wheel. Using a 17mm socket, we're going to remove our wheel. Let's remove our wheel. We're going to unpeen our axle nut using a punch and a hammer. And just make sure that nut can spin off without getting stuck. We're going to use a 32mm socket to remove the axle nut. Set that aside. Make sure your axle's free. I'm going to use a punch and a hammer. Looks pretty good. We're going to use a 13mm socket and remove these two bolts to drop this ball joint down so we can pull this knuckle over and get the axle out. Now we're going to remove this lower ball joint. Take it out of the knuckle. All right, I got a pry bar set up with an exhaust clamp to help pull down on that control arm if you need it. Ours is stuck, so we're just going to use a chisel and hammer to separate it from the knuckle. You're going to go back and forth on either side until it's free. It's not pressed in really, it's just stuck. Now I'm going to move my knuckle with brake over so I can get this axle out. So I'm going to use a ratchet strap to do that. You can use whatever you have. Just find a good spot to hook it to. Make sure this is still free. And push it right out. Now I'm going to pull my ratchet strap forward a little bit more, and this axle should just come right out. So when I remove CV axles, I like to support them with a bungee cord on this end, and I just hang it up on my strut. And that way there, it'll come out easier because it's kind of on a level ground, level from the transmission, and it won't fall on the ground. So we're going to get a pry bar underneath this lip here. Make sure you don't damage the seal, and you're going to be pushing this towards the outside of the car. Make sure you have a drip pan below to catch your fluids. Once it's popped out, you're going to remove it from your bungee if you used one, and pull it out through the wheel well. Again, your drip pan should still be there because it's going to be a lot. If you have a stick shift, it's going to be more fluid than an automatic. Now we can put our axle in. Put your C clamp or your snap ring up, so the opening's on the up. You're going to line it up. Have a bungee cord ready if you're going to use one. And put it in the transmission. You might have to wiggle it around until it lines up. Once you get the splines lined up, I'm going to use my bungee cord to support the outer part of the CV axle. And then I'm going to use a dead blow hammer, rubber mallet, whatever you got, to get past that snap ring. The straighter it is, the easier it is to get it in. We're going to keep our nut on the outside. I'm going to actually loosen it to about there. And I'm going to have a hand on the other side to make sure I can feel when it's in. And you want that seal to be nice and flush. Let's remove our nut. And we're going to release our knuckle and remove this bungee cord. I'm going to do it kind of simultaneously. You can also put some anti-seize on your knuckle part or on the tip of this to help ease installation and keep it from seizing. I'm going to release this a little bit. I'm going to steer this axle in, get it lined up, and release it some more. And now we're going to line up things. Just turn this a little bit. Make sure that axle is going in properly, and then you can release it completely. Make sure it's engaged. This will spin. Everything's spinning with it. I'm going to release this completely. Now we're just going to press it in. Let's get our nut started. Now let's get our lower ball joint here in our knuckle. Line things up. Lift up your lower control arm. And now we're going to get our bolt started. Let's tighten those down. Make sure it's flush, and then you can go ahead and torque them. We're going to torque our ball joint to 41 foot-pounds. Let's get our axle nut started. You're going to snug it up. We're going to put some lug nut studs in, so we have something to hold the wheel from spinning as we try to torque. So I'm going to put 2 in. So we're almost done tightening this up. I just wanted to show, use 2 lug nut studs, and then put a pry bar in between. And brace it to the floor so that this doesn't spin when you try to tighten the axle nut and torque it. We're going to torque this to 130 foot-pounds. Now you can remove your pry bar and now you can remove your lug nut studs. So now we need to fill up our manual transmission. If you have a regular transmission or automatic, you need to fill it up too if you lost any fluid. We're going to fill ours by undoing this plug right here with a 17mm socket. I'm underneath the car right now on the driver's side, right next to the CV axle I replaced. So you're going to loosen that up. Do have a drip pan below in case. Remove your plug. I have already installed a hose from up top on the engine, and I'm going to place it in here. And what I'm going to do is put my bottle to the hose, my bottle of gear fluid, and I'm going to fill it from up top, and I'm going to watch from underneath, and you're just going to fill it up until it starts dripping out that hole. Once it drips out that hole, you're going to replace your plug. because that means it's topped off, and that'll be 30 foot-pounds when you tighten it down. Make sure you use whatever the manufacturer recommends for manual transmissions, if you have a manual transmission, and if you don't have a manual transmission, use whatever they recommend for automatic transmissions. Okay, so I fed my hose through down to where that plug is. And I have someone looking underneath for me, and you're just going to fill it up. All right, our gear oil was coming out in a steady stream, so I know it's topped off. I'm just going to put the plug in. I removed my hose, and I'm just going to hold that upright so it doesn't drip all over the place. And now we're going to tighten this down. Going to get my torque wrench, torque it to 30 foot-pounds. Now that that's torqued, you can wipe off whatever mess you made, spray it down with some Pat's cleaner if you need to. And then we're going to go up top and remove our bottle and hose. Okay, so it's nice and full. I'm going to remove my hose. And pull this thing out. Be quick so you don't drip everywhere. Put our wheel on. Make sure you line it up. Once you're lined up, you can get one of your lug nut studs started. You are going to have to keep a hand on it. And continue the way around. Let's tighten it up. We're going to do it in a crisscross manner. Walk the wheel up. Make sure it's flush. We're going to torque our wheels to 95 foot-pounds. I'm using a 17mm socket. We're going to do this in a crisscross pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.